Hi there, I'm Shaun Bindley and this is Meet the Ministers. My guest on the program today is the Minister for Child Safety and Sport, the member for Mansfield, Phil Reeves. Phil?
It's great to be here.
Welcome. Growing up in Brisbane?
Yep, born in Brisbane, born and bred.
Always lived on the sort of south side in and around the Mount Gravatt sort of...
Actually, haven't moved from the electorate from the day I was born. So,
is that right?
Yes, born and bred at Upper Mount Gravatt and shifted a long way away, just across the road to Wishart.
Tell us about growing up. Tell us a bit about your family, about your background.
I'm the youngest of five, and we grew up a big family. Two brothers who are 2 years and 4 years respectively older than me, and then a gap for 4 years to me. Two older sisters and 2 years gap between them. So,
was there a feel for the ALP in your family even growing up?
Probably a sense of community, sense of current affairs. My mum and dad always read the newspaper, particularly my dad read the newspaper. And it's one thing that I say to people now is obviously now online, not just the newspaper. I don't always agree with what read it, but if you know what's going on in the current affairs, both your local community and elsewhere, you can have a conversation with anywhere in the world. But we always had a keen interest in current affairs and being involved in community, and I think that stemmed from it, and probably Irish Catholic background. That's probably extended to the Labor Party for their beliefs.
Did you have an idea, a thought that perhaps there might be a future for you in politics?
Never had any idea. Yeah, always just involved in community sport particularly. But my mum and dad were they weren't big talkers, but they were big action, and you followed getting involved in community. They were presidents of the local P&Fs or St Vincent de Paul Society or soccer clubs, and so they volunteered extensively. And bear in mind, I was the youngest of five. My dad, who only had a licence when I was 15, my mum never had a licence. So we used to, they used to volunteer by travelling on buses or getting picked up by different people, or a range of things. So remarkable two individuals. Unfortunately, not with us anymore. But they led by actions more than words, and I think many of my brothers and sisters followed in that vein.
Now you left school at the age of 15, end of grade 10.
End of grade 10. I just turned 15 in September. Virgo like yourself, and so 2 months later, just hated school. Didn't particularly like it, and pretty young, very small. I was a bit lighter than what I am now, but so became a shop assistant. Worked in 2 different organisations for about 3 years, and then got retrenched at the age of 18, and then went and worked for Telecom then, now Telstra, and in administration.
What was that feeling for you? I mean, I guess you were probably reasonably confident with your decision to leave school at the age of 15. And it wasn't an uncommon thing back then in the sort of the mid-80s, was it?
No, it wasn't. Not many of my friends did. I think I was just the era just before, just after everyone sort of stayed till year 11 and 12. Yeah. I had the job. I think I applied for it about a month earlier, and I had it. I knew where I was starting. I virtually finished school on the Friday and started on the Sunday. On the Monday, but it was a big move, and it's probably one of the things I regret in life is that I didn't go to grade 12, not mainly for the academics, but it was the socialisation years, really, when you look back, the year 11 and 12. But you do what you think right at the time, and I had great support from my family, and it hasn't affected me since.
You were telling me beforehand that being retrenched, having done the exam for Telecom, it actually gave you a bit of a boost, finding out that not long after you lost your job.
Yeah, I'd applied, as back then they used to have federal government and Telecom exams, and I applied about 18 months earlier, and so hadn't heard anything, but then got a call 2 weeks after I got retrenched, and luck would happen, the first job was at the Mount Gravatt Telephone Exchange, which is literally a kilometre and a half around from where we live, so just amazing, and it's just one door shuts, another door opens, as they say, and I'm pretty lucky in that way.
What prompted the decision then to go back and complete your education and go on to tertiary education?
Look, I was involved. I did rugby league referees for a couple of years, and then did some coaching, and loved getting involved in coaching, then administration at the junior rugby league level. Yeah. Funny thing is, I'd look at the public service back then, Telecom, And I'll never forget, you see the same people arrive at the same time, catch the same bus to work, they'd go to the pub at lunchtime and they'd have 3 beers, not 4, not 2, just all 3 beers, come back and have the same cycle day in, day out. And I thought, no, I can't see myself doing that in 5 or 10 years' time. What do I like? I love being involved in sport, loved in sports administration. What do I need to do? Need to go and get my senior, so I went through TAFE and then went and got into the course of leisure studies that was then at Griffith University and successfully finished it.
Was it a hard thing to do, to go back, having left school because you didn't enjoy it? And I'm guessing it was the studying was part of the process.
Yeah, it took twice. I started doing it as a part-time, so I started doing it full-time, and then sort of financially it just was really difficult. So then, and a range of other things, and then so I then started doing part-time, and that it couldn't work because I had that big gap in study, and I had only gone to grade 10. So then I knew when I decided I was going to do it, I needed to do it full time, and that's what I did. Had a bit of part-time work to assist, but it was difficult, and great support from my parents. And when you're thinking, I had a family of five kids, all different range of abilities, but they always their support. So it's cheap rent.
Others of your siblings go on to uni and do tertiary education, or you first?
They have now. My older brother went back and he finished at the end of grade 10 himself, but he went and did a trade and was in trade. My other 2 sisters, one's a nurse, one's a school teacher, and a deputy principal now. So we've all been encouraged about education, which is funny because my parents hadn't done that themselves. They had regional. I think Mum got the senior, but Dad stopped at junior back a few years ago.
Probably fair to say that growing up in that area, a lot of focus was on kids getting a trade and getting out into the workforce as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and now it's probably turned back.
Completely the opposite.
That's the way it is now too, with the mining industry and the skills and construction. So it's amazing how things change and some things stay the same. But I keep saying, but the admiration of my parents. We had a 3-bedroom house, with five kids in it. And the admiration for them that support. As a kid, I don't remember missing out on anything, but I know that. In relative terms, my mum and dad weren't wealthy people, far from it.
Yeah. You're watching Meet the Ministers. My guest on the program today is the member for Mansfield, Phil Reeves, and we'll be back after the break.